I would like to welcome you all to a new video about the new normal in healthcare, brought to you by the Innovative Healthcare Institute. I am Dr. Abdulrahman Jazieh, Director of Research and Innovation at Cincinnati Cancer Advisors, Cincinnati, Ohio. I will be talking to you today about an important subject, which is COVID-19 vaccination for patients with cancer. As we all know, COVID-19 pandemic has a major catastrophic consequences on all aspects of life worldwide, actually, especially in terms of healthcare delivery, health and well-being of people. And there are three ways out of this pandemic. One is to continue this stringent precaution forever, which is impossible, and it just delays the inevitable. People will get eventually infected, and it will be spread over a long period of time with economic, psychological, political impact that will be long lasting. The second way is to obtain herd immunity, which basically to let the masses of people get infected, but this will have really a very high toll on human lives. And we know from the Spanish flu that that pandemic killed 50 million people. And unfortunately, this pandemic is really mounting a very high toll in human lives. And if we did not intervene properly, this cost of human lives will continue, unfortunately. And the third way out is vaccination, is to get enough people vaccinated to break this vicious cycle of infection and control the pandemic. Fortunately, we have two FDA-approved COVID-19 vaccines that are available. And one is from Pfizer and one is from Moderna. And there are other vaccines from different countries that available outside the US that has to be assessed by the healthcare authorities in different countries. I'm not going to touch on this conspiracy theory and the huge amount of misinformation. Actually, there is a misinformation pandemic that is very harmful as much as the infectious pandemic itself, because it put people's lives at risk and it harms people. But I'm going to tackle the issue of the unique feature of this vaccine, which is being mRNA vaccine, and there is some assumption that the vaccine will be incorporated into the individual DNA and change the DNA forever. Actually, that's far from the truth. The current vaccines are part of the virus protein that injected into the muscle of the individual. And the purpose of this is to train the immune cells to recognize the virus and mount an immune response against it when it encounters it in the future. So the mRNA protein actually get degraded very fast, and it gets removed from the body of the person, and it would not be integrated into the DNA. In addition, there are large studies that are published in very well-respected journals that I will have for you in the references that show the safety and efficacy of these vaccines. Who should get the vaccine? Actually, everybody, if possible, because in order to break the cycle of the pandemic, large number of the population should be vaccinated. So, but because of the logistics and availability of vaccine, there should be some priorities which are set by different healthcare authorities, starting with patients with chronic diseases, including cancer, elderly patients, and of course, healthcare professionals and frontline workers, because they are at higher risk of getting exposure and getting harm, in addition to their vital role in controlling the pandemic. and maintaining their well-being is very critical. And in addition, we don't want them to be a vehicle for carrying the infection to others, including their patients and their families and others. So, focusing on patients with cancer. Unfortunately, we know that patients with cancer are very vulnerable population for infection diseases in general, and COVID-19 is no exception. There are data showing that patients with cancer are at higher risk of having severe complication and death. So it is recommended that patients with cancer receive the vaccination irrespective of what type of cancer they have and where they are in their disease trajectory, whether they are newly diagnosed, on treatment, or survivors of treatment. These recommendations I'm presenting actually, it's a summary of recommendations from three well-respected societies, the American Society of Clinical Oncology, the Infection Disease Society of America, and the European Society of Medical Oncology. Actually, there are references in the video description that, and in the last slide that you can use to look up these references. So now we'll talk about different scenarios on patients with cancer. The concern about giving the vaccine to these patients population is not the safety issue. We don't believe that patients with cancer are at higher risk of having complications from the vaccine. The issue is whether the patients with cancer will have enough immune response to the vaccine to protect them from the virus in the future, because they may have low immune response because of the cancer itself or because of the treatment they are getting. So that's the issue. So let's talk about different scenarios on patients with cancer. If patient is on targeted therapy or hormonal therapy, they can get the vaccine anytime because their immune system is fine generally. When a patient is on checkpoint inhibitors, which are immune therapy that enhance the immune system to fight the cancer, they can get the vaccine anytime. If patient is getting cytotoxic chemotherapy, regular chemotherapy that may suppress the immune system, the issue here is scheduling the vaccine in sync with the chemotherapy in order to get the best immune response possible. And that's usually make it as far away from the chemo before and after. So you give it in the middle of the cycle in coordination with the oncologist, of course. If patient is getting radiation therapy, they can get the vaccine anytime. For stem cell transplant patients, if they do not have GVHD, usually after 100 days you can give the vaccine, but you have to really look at the institutional policy. Some of the institutions do not vaccinate patients till after 6 months of transplant. Nevertheless, this has to be taken into consideration in coordination with the institutional policy and so on. The last type of patients who are not on therapy, whether because they are just diagnosed and they did not start the therapy yet, or because they are survivors of treatment, they can get the vaccine anytime. Some caveat here: if a patient has breast cancer, she should get the vaccine in the opposite arm of the affected breast. Would the vaccine negate the need for precautions? The clear answer is no, because the protection from the vaccine is not 100%, it's 95% or so. So there are good percentage that may not have enough protection. So that's one. The second thing is vaccinated people may carry the virus to others, so it's better to be careful. Therefore, we should continue with the precautionary measures such as mask wearing, social distancing, and hand sanitizing to protect ourselves if we do not have good immune response to the vaccine, or to protect others who are not vaccinated or protected. Should people with positive COVID-19 infection get vaccinated? The answer is yes. But this will be lesser priority. They should wait till other people who are at higher risk get the vaccine. The reason is that there is belief that and data that those who get the infection may not get long-lasting immunity from it, with a study showing that majority of patients who get infected, they do not have antibodies to the virus after a couple of months. In addition, we are seeing cases of reinfection again. So that's why it's better to get the vaccinated with the vaccination, because it may give longer immunity against the virus. So these are the resources that I have obtained the information from. It will be also in the description of the video. So we hope that you will benefit from it and utilize it to help our patients with cancer protected against this deadly virus. I hope this short video is beneficial to our dear patients with cancer and the healthcare professionals who are managing them. Uh, Please like and share the video and follow IHCI channel. In addition, you can follow IHCI on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter at Innovative HCI. Thank you very much.